Hi, I'm Sue from Garden Moxie. Today we are in my basement. This is where I grow my indoor seeds. And today I'm getting ready to start planting some Coleus seeds. Now, it's a little bit early in the season for seed starting for me. In southern Michigan, I use the end of May as my last frost date. So that means that most of my seeds I'm not going to be starting until March. But Coleus seeds, I found, at least for me, they're a little bit slow getting to go, and I want to make sure that I've got plants that are a pretty decent size because I use Coleus in my vertical gardens. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some Coleus seeds up today. And in order to do that, I'm going to be using my new favorite way of planting seedlings, and that is a soil blocker. So I start my Coleus seeds in a 3/4 inch soil blocker. And this for me has really been a game changer. For me, the real reason that I use it is it makes it so much easier to transplant baby seedlings as they get bigger into bigger pots. And instead of pots, actually bigger soil blocks. So there's less root disturbance, and I've had great success. I'm not killing off my baby seedlings anymore. So I love this tool. So today I'm going to be using this 3/4 inch soil blocker to plant up my Coleus seed. So the two things that I struggled with in the beginning was really understanding how much water to add to the soil. And the second thing was really knowing how to water the blocks. And after the past couple of years with just, making mistakes and hands-on experience, I figured those couple of things out. That's why today I thought I would show you how I use the soil blocker for Coleus seeds, and you would be able to learn from my mistakes in the past. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about today is what we're going to need in order to get our soil blocking done. So the first thing that you need is a soil blocking tool. For me, the two tools that I use mostly all the time, I use 3/4 inch soil blocker, and then I step it up to a 2-inch soil blocker that is outfit with 3/4 inch inserts. So these inserts just are removable here, and these are the exact size of the 3/4 inch soil blocks. So when you're ready for your plants to go into a bigger soil block, you just plop the soil blocks in. That's how you pot them up. I use a paint scraper too if I need to, clear off the soil on the bottom. This is not necessary. This is just kind of a nice to have. A spoon of some kind if you don't want to get your hands too dirty from mixing up the soil. Then I use recycled food trays for placing the soil blocks on top of it, and some tape in order to label the seeds, your seeds obviously, toothpicks, a small bowl so that we can put water in here, and we'll use the toothpicks with the water. And then for mixing, what I do is I have this is just regular potting soil, and I keep this in a plastic bin, and then I just move some of the soil here and mix it with water. And then this is where I do my soil blocking. And then if I have extra soil left over, I can just leave it open and it can dry out. All right, so I have everything that I need here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to mix the soil. So as I said, this is just a regular potting mix. There are tons of recipes for soil blocks, and you can mix your own. You can go peat-free. That's something that I'm actually going to try to do this year. I'll have a separate video about that. But for today's purpose, this is a peat-based mix that is a normal, just a potting soil. So I use this plastic tote, and the thing to keep in mind is you're going to be amazed at how much water you actually have to add. And I'm wearing gloves just to make it, because this can be really messy. It's actually very therapeutic. So I mix the water and the soil together and just use my hands and really make sure that soil and water are mixed together well. And you would think that this would be enough water, and it's definitely not. So this is almost like 1 part soil to 1 part water is what it ends up being. Now, if it gets too wet, that's the nice thing about this pot, is I can just add some more soil here. So And I am going to let it kind of rest for a couple minutes before I start. And this kind of gets to be the consistency of like a cement, almost like if you were mixing cement. So you want to be able to see, like here, when I press on it, you can see that I can see the water when I press on it. So that seems to me like it's pretty good. All right. So now that we've got the water and the soil mixed together, we're going to go ahead and try to put this into our blocks. Now I do have a little bowl of water so that if you're making a lot of blocks, sometimes you can get this a little bit dirty and then the blocks don't form as well. You can just dip it in the water to clean it up. So in order to make these blocks, I'm just going to go ahead and press down on this wet soil. So you want the bottom to be flat. So in order to get it flat, you can use a scraper. If you want to, you can scrape on the side of your plastic bin. What I actually have found now, after I've gotten more experience doing it, is just really pressing down hard on the bottom of the plastic bin. And like you can see here how you can see that water. So that kind of suggests to me that I have enough water. Let me move this over here. And now I'm going to get out my tray and I'm going to put the block so that I've got room on the sides. And the reason that I want room on the sides is I want to make sure that I'm able to water these. So I press down, release the block, and there you go. So that's all there is to it. Now when you make the blocks, you want to make sure that these are, complete little squares. If you made them and for some reason there were like edges taken out or what have you, maybe there wasn't enough water in the mix. Usually that's like the first sign. If there's not enough water in the mix, you'll find out that these blocks kind of get stuck inside of the blocking tool, and then they're not really formed well. So you just want to make sure that they're formed well. And I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And you want to add, you're going to add soil, you're going to add water as you need to as we are making this up, because if you spend a lot of time, the blocks, this soil is going to kind of dry out. Now I'm going to put the second block on, and again, I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between because I want to be able to water. And when I water, I'm going to do it with this. I'm going to put it along the sides of the blocks. You don't water on top of the blocks. So what you're doing is you're just allowing each of the blocks to soak up the water. So you're going to want to make sure that there's enough space in between. So I'm going to go ahead and press down. And there you go. So now that tray is ready to go. Now, as I had mentioned before, one of the problems that I had originally when I first started was I didn't add enough water. So I'm just going to show you how you can tell if that happens. I'm going to purposely mix up some soil that does not have enough water in it. So I'm just going to add some more dry soil here. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes to try to help you understand, like if this happens to you while you're doing it, that you need to add some more water. So let's say I just added that much water, and then I go ahead and press down. So I'm going to make the blocks. And now when I do that, one of the clues here is when I press down, you can see there's no water on the side. That for me is like a definite clue. But if I go ahead and press, now you can see that doesn't. I've got, excuse the fact that there's a big chunk there. That's just from the soil not being sifted. But you can see these are not really formed as well. But if I were to kind of squish these together, they're not quite as strong as a regular block would be. And you can see that right here. So if they're too dry when you form them, they're really not strong. And then, they also, what'll happen is they're not as tall. Like here, you can see this one was littler. So these just don't make strong blocks. If you compare that to a block that was made properly, you don't want to handle the blocks, but you know, I'll do it for the purpose of this video to show you, you know, this has got some strength to it, and that's got enough water in it. So I just wanted to show you that in hopes that that would kind of help you. Now, if you do misform blocks, you know, just stick them back in, add some more water, like we're doing here. We'll just add some more water here, mix this up. Again, I'm looking for being able to see water in between my fingers there. Kind of gives me a clue that there's enough water in there to create some blocks. I press down really quite hard, and I kind of like go back and forth like this, make sure that everything is flat. I press on the tray, and you can see there's some water on the side of the tray. And there you go. Now the process is exactly the same with the larger soil block. So, you know, here would be a good time to, you know, you can tell, like, as this starts to get more soil on it, you can just rinse it in your little bowl of water, and it's ready to go for the next set of soil blocks. Okay, now we're going to try to do exactly the same thing with the 2-inch soil blocks. So again, we've got the soil here, and I'm just going to make sure that I am really pressing hard and getting enough soil into these blocks. You know, I want to make sure the bottom is flat. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing where I am pressing the blocks out. And there we go. And that's as easy as it gets. So, and you can see here, the thing that's cool about these bigger blocks with the small 3/4 inch inserts is this insert fits perfectly into that block. And so when the seedlings that are growing in these tiny blocks are ready to be potted up into a bigger container, then they can get potted up into these soil blocks. And it's just a matter of inserting them into those blocks. All right, so now that I have made my soil blocks, I'm ready to plant up my seeds. And for me, what I do is I normally just use this, you know, blue painter tape, and I write on here which seedlings I'm planting. So in this case, I'm planting up the Wizard Sunset Coleus, and I just put it on the end of my tray like that, so I know which seeds they are. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of water in a dish. I have a toothpick, and then I'm just going to open up the seed pack here. I use a white dish just because these seeds are little tiny black seeds, so it's easier to see. And they're pretty small. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these out onto the dish, making sure that I get them all out of there because I paid for all of them, so I definitely want to plant all of them. Now, when you're using black seeds, it really is hard to see them on the soil block there. So you need to, you know, kind of make sure you're paying attention. And I just start in the, you know, upper corner and move zigzaggy. So I'm just going to use the toothpick and pick up one of the seeds and then just tap it into the soil block. This year I am planting the Wizard Sunset Coleus, which is an apricot orange leaf. It has kind of like a little golden highlight on the edges of the leaves. I'm also planting the Wizard Golden Coleus, and that's like a chartreuse leaf. That's a real pretty coleus. And then the last type that I'm planting is the chocolate mint. So that's like a deep purple with a lime green edge around the leaf. I really, really love that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll show you what we do after all the seeds are in the seed trays. And now that all of the seeds have been planted into the soil blocks, what I do is I use this crescent seal plastic to act as a humidity dome for my seedlings. And this is reusable, so I've been reusing sheets of this even from last year. And the thing that I like about it is I can just kind of press it in place on the sides of these trays, and then it makes a humidity dome. Once I put the plastic on and have created the humidity dome, I'm going to place these trays onto a heat mat, and I'm going to leave them there until the seeds germinate. Now, once the seeds germinate, I'm going to remove this plastic wrap. Then you've got to be really careful and make sure that you're watering your soil blocks. I want to show you how you water these blocks. So it's really straightforward, and you're going to want to water your blocks. Really, they need to be watered once a day. And at least that's my experience. I have small oscillating fans in the area that I grow seeds so that I've got air circulating. And then I find just with my peat-based soil here that they do dry out once a day. And I just come down in the morning, and then what I do is I just use this watering can, and I will go ahead and just fill up the tray. Now, in this case, these blocks are already saturated, so this is not a great demonstration, but I'm just trying to show you how you would go about watering them. So you want to have the water go along the sides. And again, that's how come, like, one of the things I learned is you don't want to necessarily bump up the blocks right up against each other, because I like to be able to have the water go through there. And then I'll go ahead and just water each one of my trays. And what I do is I just am going to look on the side. I'm going to look on the side of the soil block, and you can see, like, when they're actually dry, you can see when they soak up the water and they get like a darker color. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to leave any standing water. So then you want to just get a tray or a cup, and then remove any excess water, and then you're all set. So that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.